the way I would.
What's going on, guys? Greek Freak here, and in this video we're going to be talking about Kawhi Leonard making his decision, and it is the Los Angeles Clippers, and not only that, an unexpected trade with Paul George going to the Clippers with him. Now, we'll get back to that a little bit later into the video as far as the details into that. But as far as this, Kawhi Leonard obviously had three teams as far as what he was going with, which was returning to the Raptors, where money could be the major situation there. Already established a championship, the Los Angeles Lakers, who had created already with LeBron James and Anthony Davis. The one advantage that the Clippers definitely have was the depth, the sort of overachieving that they had going into the last season. They just were missing that next star. So what did the Clippers do? They went out and traded for 5 first-round picks. Like I mentioned, I will get more into detail as far as this, but right now I'm going to talk about what I think this means as far as this happening. Now, remember the fact that I told you guys in previous videos, I believed that the Clippers were the #1 team that for him to go to, and for majority of reasons. Now, look, whenever we're talking about the front office of the Clippers, it is Jerry West. And Jerry West, the person who helped create the Shaq Kobe Lakers. You're talking about the person who created the Golden State Warriors, and now creating this, which will be the best Clippers team on their franchise history. So whenever we're going into this, and not only that, was able to do this without losing substantial talent as far as this. Now, granted, losing all these draft picks, the only time that we've seen sort of draft picks given away like this was the Boston Nets series, but we know the complete difference between that. You're getting a young Paul George, a Paul George that is going to be willing to play with the Clippers in Los Angeles, his home team, for years to come, and you probably will be able to re-sign him. You have the rights to him, which means you can offer him the biggest contract when his contract comes up. This is directly what you would be willing to have. And you're talking about, of course, Paul George, somebody who is able to play into that type of level. Now, not only this, we're going to see the best battle of Los Angeles we've ever seen, where we're going to see Anthony Davis, LeBron James, with their talent that they will be able to establish together, along with the Clippers with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. So you're talking about a very well-established team. Now, I feel like the Clippers have a stronger depth, so I would have to give them the advantage here in this series as far as going into this next year. I would have to maybe even consider them favorites for the West during conference. So we're going to have to see directly how this works out. But, of course, let's get into the details of this trade, and it requires in with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Danilo Gallinari within the players to be traded here. It requires also 1 protected pick 2023 with the rights to swap. So if they do end up getting it protected, it will move to 2026. So it moves back 3 years if they do not, if it goes into the protection of which they have qualified for. Now, it also has unprotected picks for 1 from Miami 2021, and then of course 3 other ones being 2022, 2024, and 2026. So the Thunder end up getting a lot out of at least a lot out of a player in Paul George that many people believed was going to leave for nothing just 2 seasons ago. Now, of course, if you're the Thunder, I also did report the fact that they were not willing to stay with the salary cap. And if you have a rumor like that, you may have lost players such as Paul George and other players like this. Now, we know the fact that he was willing to stay, but if you were willing to get rid of players that you think are key to the winning championships, and you're going to get just worse and hope that you can actually just improve better because Paul George is going to play better, that's just not a really acceptable standard from the Oklahoma City Thunder in that sense. Now, Paul George did demand this trade, so just about a week ago, it wasn't really reported very well. So I definitely have to give credit to Kawhi Leonard in this free agency as far as how it has went, because it has been very differently reported. Now, I think the fact that many people hearing the fact that the Lakers and the Raptors were ahead during this entire time did not know what they were really talking about in the sense of it. They were saying that the fact that this was a foregone conclusion, basically, you heard it from both sides with this 99% chance he's going to sign with the Lakers and the 99% chance he's going to sign with the Raptors. And I didn't really believe the fact that they knew what they were talking about as far as this goes whenever we're going into conversations like this. I think the fact that this was very interesting as far as this goes. Like I mentioned, though, I thought the fact that Jerry West was going to be able to move pieces around and definitely get that second star around, and they ended up doing so. And like I mentioned, did not lose much out of it. You're now still talking about a team that holds Patrick Beverly, was able to retain him. So you have a defensive point guard. You have a player right here in Paul George who was Defensive Player of the Year candidate and an MVP candidate. You're now also talking about somebody in Kawhi Leonard who is a multi-defensive player of the year, a finals MVP, somebody who obviously can step up into MVP caliber seasons. So whenever we're going into this, we're now going to see a team that, not only that, it can also provide what Toronto Raptors were looking at when it comes to this situation. Now, one thing that I definitely will talk about as far as the other teams, now, the Raptors, of course, we knew what their pitch was. He knew what their pitch was the whole year because he was there the entire time. Now, the one thing about that is now the Lakers, the one that we didn't know. Now, it's, of course, reported that he took multiple meetings with different Lakers to make sure that their stories added up. And I just don't see the fact that that's something he wanted to join if he had the choice of being able to play with another superstar in the Clippers. And with that, I just think the fact that this team's got everything it needs. It has depth. It has just the experience of a playoff game. It overachieved last season. I just didn't see this really happening. And you know the fact that Jerry West, if this didn't work out and you didn't get Kawhi Leonard, it would be a huge bust for the Los Angeles Clippers. So in this, I think the fact that it makes plenty of sense that they went out, they traded all those picks for a player in Paul George. You definitely try to make those moves. We've always known the fact that trading for a superstar caliber player in their prime, that the team that gets the superstar caliber player usually wins the trade. So as far as this now, will Oklahoma City 100% lose this trade? Maybe they'll be able to get something out of these picks, but like anything ever, you're talking about a team that's most likely going to be top of the line as far as draft picks. So maybe if the Thunder can draft very well, they have a good history of drafting well in the later rounds, as far as in the late first round type picks. But now you're having to make sure that you do that again, and it's really looking like the Thunder are done for as far as making the playoffs. They've probably moved out. You're talking about some teams in this loaded West, they're going to be moving in. I definitely like the choice that Kawhi made as far as this. I didn't really want a Lakers super team with 3 of the top 5 players when we're going down to it. I just didn't see that really helping. This right here, though, I definitely believe the fact that nobody has a clear set advantage. I feel like if you think the fact that somebody else is sort of a title contender, you think that there's multiple out there and you hear multiple of them, I would have to agree. I don't think the fact that anybody has a clear advantage. I did mention that I think the Clippers have one as far as just I like their team altogether, but I definitely, if somebody told me the fact that they thought the Lakers are going to be able to win the championship next year, I wouldn't just sit there and say you're wrong, because there are just so many teams right now that are just in contention for this. And of course, this question leads off to what team do you think will win the championship next season? There's so many to go from East and West. So guys, tell me what your guys' thoughts are on that. And if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure that you guys leave a like and subscribe to become part of the Greek Army today. And as always, this is Sparta.